Hello, welcome to Tales from the Black Tower, a solo D&D game currently following Tobias Vandermill, a human wizard. My name is Body, and I'll be your player dungeon master for this session, which is session 14, with chaos level currently at 4. There it is. When last we left our adventurer, uh, Tobias and Morning's Breath had just been escaping from a hunter settlement that was overrun by gnolls and direwolves. Uh, I, as Dungeon Master, and as us as viewers, know that they're being stalked by a direwolf, but they do not currently. So, one thing I'm curious about is what is the stealth level of the direwolf? Like, is it how stealthy is it being? So, they have direwolves have a +4, so they are currently. He's only got a 10. Okay, and let's see what our passive perception for Tobias and Morning's Breath are. So Morning's Breath's passive perception is 8, which is not good, but Tobias does have a decent passive perception. So the question then is, well, how far away is uh, the direwolf when Tobias notices him? Let's see. In the Solo Adventures Toolbox. In chapter 15. There's a way to determine the distance between the monster and the player characters. And I think there's two ways. One, roll 1d8, and that's how many squares away, or roll 1d8 or 1d10, or d10 times 10 plus 20. So it's basically roll squares or roll distance. Let's go with the second one. The d10 times 10. No, let's do 1d10. Because like I feel like the 1d10 times 10 plus 20 would probably end up being like 70 feet. And I think that feels like a little bit too high for a direwolf. Even though he did sort of have a terrible stealth roll. I like the 1d10. That's how many squares away. So 9. Yeah, that's a 9. So he's 45 feet away. Am I right? Yeah. So, if we go back here, let's see if there's a good section of the map. I don't think they're on a path, so we'll just ignore this sort of path right here. The direwolf is coming around this tree, and then we want to 45 feet away. So we've got our people up here. And actually, do we think we have enough room? We might need to do a bigger map. Let's say the direwolf is just there, and then we can see how far away this is. That feels like way less than 45, yeah. So we're the pair of adventurers, one more square, are sort of walking through the woods, not being. I think at this point they would be trying to be super stealthy. Let's. Yes, they're. Well, I think they would be being stealthy, but maybe it's not. Maybe they've been escaping for like 45 minutes now, and that's basically we're trying to figure out how long has it been since they escaped, and how long has the direwolf been chasing them. And has it been recently? And this sort of is just a way to guess how likely they are to be stealthy. So is the direwolf catching up to them shortly after they started fleeing? I think that's 50-50. I don't know. So we're Chaos Force, 35% chance. Is it? No, so they've been traveling for a while. So I think they're not being particularly stealthy. They figure, the camp's a mile or two back that way. There's no way anything's still following them, right? So, they are getting pursued by this direwolf, and they the direwolf steps on a twig or brushes past something, and it's just a little bit too loud. Tobias turns his head and sees this large direwolf, large wolf-shaped creature in the distance, about 45 feet away. And then one of the interesting things about the Solo Adventurers Toolbox as well is that you can sort of randomly determine what the monster tactics are for a fight. Now, I think there's a decent chance that this direwolf is going to try to kill them, but I'm not sure what this monster intentions tactics table, like what the different very values are. Is the because I see the very first one is 1 to 4%. Has the monster just fleeing. So there is a chance that once the direwolf just realizes that he's been caught, he just is like, nah, screw it. I don't know how this is going to turn out because direwolves are kind of beefy, and there's only 2 of them, and direwolves hit really hard. So let's see the monster intentions and tactics table. This is just, I think, for the general overall battle. D100 rolls a 57, which is going to be monster simply attacks purely out of instinct. All right, so that's sort of what I was thinking was going to happen, but then that is on the table. That's 31 to 70, so we're talking 40-ish. Yeah, it's 40. So that's a decent number of. That's one of the more likely. That's, I think, probably the single most likely outcome from using that table. So that means initiative. All right, so direwolves have a +2, so he's at 14. Tobias has a +1, 12, and then Morning's Breath has a +5, 18. Morning's Breath, Direwolf, and Tobias. Okay, so Tobias turns around, sees the direwolf. Morning's Breath turns in the same moment, and it's just they all sort of lock eyes for an instant, and we get into the battle. Morning's Breath is the first one to act, and after seeing the direwolf, and I think he's going to actually just like, yeah, he's actually going to cast Vicious Mockery on the direwolf, and it's going to be some sort of mockery as like, oh, he's done, like some sort of jape about how terrible the direwolf is at sneaking. It's like, this is the forest. What the hell are you getting caught 45 feet out? You're supposed to be able to just like pounce upon people. But direwolf needs to save. I do not know. Oh, well, he definitely saved there. But let me bring up the direwolf chart, because I'm not sure what his wisdom or charisma save is. Okay, yeah, so he's got a plus or -2 on charisma, so yeah. So, but he definitely saves there, and even though we now know that Morning's Breath has become a sword bard, he doesn't have the 2 weapons to do 2-weapon fighting. All he has is his rapier, and he doesn't have medium armor, so I don't think he's going to be heading towards the direwolf. But I do think they're going to spread out. Or would they spread out? Actually, no. Tobias or Morning's Breath. He's a cat, so he's instinctually, I think, going to climb a tree because he's got. Is there a tree? That's the question. Is there a tree near Morning's Breath? We have one on our map, but we don't know for sure. I think we're in a forest. I think it's pretty likely. Let's say that's very likely. 75% chance. 26, yeah. Okay. So Morning's Breath comes over here, spends 5 feet moving. He could get really high up actually. So he's got 30 speed, 25 left. I don't think he's gonna. He needs to get up at least like 15. in order to be out of range. So I think he's going to be 20 foot up. Let me make a note of that. I think he's going to basically use his entire move to get up there. Pretty far. So, but now Tobias is just like on the forest floor. Oh, maybe that's. That's a lone wizard with his 14 armor class facing down a direwolf. Okay. Anyways, the direwolf. What's his move speed? 50 feet. Oh wow! So he can just close that instantly right now. All right. The direwolf comes in. Oh man, I had a +5 to hit. This could be poor. This is gonna be not great. Okay, 11. So he doesn't hit. Whew. But now it's Tobias's. Actually, oh wait, scratch that. We're gonna retcon because I'm not used to using the Solar Adventures Toolbox. We want to figure out the round-by-round monster reaction tips. It's a way to just spice up combat and NPC monster actions without, so that it's not just everything running at each other and swinging. So we're gonna roll on the monster reaction table and see what the direwolf does. So we've got a 78. That is, enemy takes your presence here as a personal front and attempts to intimidate you. It makes an intimidation check against your wisdom. If it succeeds, make your next attack at disadvantage. If it fails, it goes straight into melee brawl. So, do I think that... I think the direwolf is going to be using a lot of its action as in just doing the intimidation, but it's not going to move all the way forward. It's sort of just like stalking. It uses its movement as part of its intimidation while growling and sort of snarling and things like that. So it's making an intimidation check with its charisma, right? Yeah, so it's direwolves have a -2 charisma, so he's not going to do great at this. But the DC is, so it's 11, 9. So against your wisdom score then 14. So the 14 is the DC for the wolf. Tobias's wisdom is 14, so that's the DC for the wolf. But he rolled a 9. That's not equal to or more than 14, so it fails. And Tobias is not intimidated. And then if it fails, it goes straight into melee brawl. So we're going to say that since he used a lot of his move in order to be intimidating, he's just going to move forward a little bit more as part of going into melee. Now it's Tobias's turn. I think Tobias sees Morning's Breath clamber up into the tree, and he doesn't want to be on the ground level with a direwolf, so he's going to follow up the tree after Morning's Breath. So Morning's Breath can climb because he's a tabaxi. He can climb really easily. I think is this tree that climbable? I'm curious. Yeah, is this, because there are different levels of trees being climbable, and this is sort of growing in the middle of the woods. We don't know necessarily how big the tree is. Basically, is this tree easily climbable? I think that's 50-50. I don't know what the odds of that really are. So yes, we needed to go under 35. So we got a 30. Yeah, it's climbable. So it's we're gonna say it's a DC 13 athletics in order to climb, which is definitely not his strong suit. But I think, let me look up the Bardic Inspiration. This is the kind of thing that I think Mr. Morning's Breath would be wanting to use his Bardic Inspiration in order to help. The question is, I don't remember if he can use his reaction on Tobias's turn. Yeah, so I did not remember to do that at the time, but he did not use his bonus action. So I think the question then would be, would Morning's Breath, once he got up into the tree, use his Bardic Inspiration? We're sort of using this as an opportunity to try to retcon in a fair way. Do we think that Morning's Breath would use his Bardic Inspiration in order to try to help at the beginning of combat when he obviously isn't going to be using his bonus action for anything else? I think that's likely. So it's a 55% chance that yes, he actually did give Tobias his Bardic Inspiration. 72, so no. So Tobias does not get the Bardic Inspiration, but he is going to try to climb up the tree. So he uses 2 squares of movement. He's got 20 feet of movement left, which is all right. He's not going to be able to get as high as Morning's Breath, no matter what. But now I think I think it's DC 12. I think it's not the easiest, it's not the hardest tree in the world to climb, but this is a high pressure scenario. There's this freaking huge wolf bearing down on them, and he's trying to just be like, oh geez. So yeah, DC 12 athletics. Whoa, and that's -1, so that's a 13. Whoa, that was close. That was closer than I thought it would be. Oh, okay, so yeah, Tobias clambers up the tree, and actually, you know what? I think because I'm not even gonna roll for it because he's a wizard and he's actually not very good at climbing a tree. I'm gonna say he needed to use um, his action as well in order to get up in the tree. So he is. The thing is, Tobias is actually 15 feet off the ground. Yeah, so the wolf is 10 feet tall, or its sphere of influence, whatever, is 10 feet tall. It occupies 10 feet tall, and then it can swing 10 feet above that. So yeah, he's out of range now. And Morning's Breath is above him. So Tobias needed to use his action in order to get up the... Yeah, he had to use his action to climb. He can't just use his movement like Morning's Breath can. He had to use his action to climb. That's why he can't attack. So now it is Morning's Breath's turn again. Let's see. Does Morning's Breath have some sort of ranged... Like, why would he continue to use Vicious Mockery when he can use... like a crossbow, right? I think Morning's Breath is going to have some sort of crossbow. I think he has a hand crossbow. I think that's very likely, but let us see. I think it's nearly a sure thing. Either that, or he's just got daggers that he can throw. But I think a hand crossbow is the most likely. We're gonna say very likely. I don't think it's quite a near sure thing, but we're talking a 75% chance with, oh, a 1. Wow. So not only does he have a hand crossbow, he has 2 hand crossbows. Let me make a note of that. That's actually curious. That makes me wonder about the sword bard thing, because it talks about 2-weapon fighting. I don't think it actually indicates if it only applies to melee attacks. So that's College of the Sword. When you engage in 2-weapon fighting, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the second attack. So yeah, it's just it applies to ranged attacks too, it looks like. And then also the blade flourishes. It's just referring to an attack action. Whenever you take the attack action, and if a weapon attack that you make as part of this section hits a creature, you can use the following Blade Flourish. So you can use Blade Flourishes to push. So I can push this guy back. I can make a slashing flourish with my hand crossbow. That doesn't seem right, but it looks like that's the way it's written. Because it's just whenever you take the attack action. Wow, okay, that's interesting. So, he's got hand crossbows. We'll say he's got enough bolts for now. And he's going to take 2 shots. First shot is a +5. I don't remember how the second attack works. Why am I doing D100s? +5 is going to be 10. And that's a 7. At a AC 14, okay. So that definitely hits. Hand crossbow, I think is D6, right? So 3 plus 5 is 8. So we're gonna go. He's gonna go down a little bit. And how does this 2-weapon fighting work? Let's just make sure we understand. Bonus action. You don't add your ability modifier to the damage, but I do, or he does because of the thing. Oh, it's melee weapons. We'll just say he has to hold on. No, he's a cat. I'm gonna say he can't do it. He's got to hold on. He's just figuring out how to do 2-weapon fighting, and this gives me a chance to look it up. Just for the sake of expediency, I'm gonna say he can't use 2-weapon fighting, but he can use the Blade Flourish. So basically, he's just gonna get another D6 damage. For another 3 damage. Okay, 20 something hit points. So yeah, a bolt from Morning's Breath's hand crossbow sinks into the direwolf's torso right above the shoulder. And now it's the direwolf's turn. So he's gonna... I mean, he sees them climb up the tree. I think he's gonna make a running jump. You know, direwolves are freaking beasts, man. They're freaking huge gamers. I don't know. Actually, no. We'll do another monster reaction next turn because I don't think we want to do it every round. So he's basically gonna make an attack, and I don't even think that he really needs to roll in order to do this jumping attack. He's gonna jump and take a bite at Tobias because he only got 20 feet up. I think that's definitely a jump that the dire. Let's. But I do think it might be more fun to make him roll. Yeah, let's do it. So it's gonna be DC 10. He's got athletics. He's got a strength +3, so he's gonna be pretty good. So yeah, he leaps up and attempts to snag Tobias by the calf with his mouth, with his teeth as he flies through the air. And that attack is going to be +5 to hit. Oh fuck! Oh fuck! You might just get. Oh no! Oh wow! All right. So that's not good because Direwolf's already doing 2d6, and he's gonna fall from the tree. Oh jeez. Okay. Oh wait. No, I didn't need to re-roll that. I want 2d6. 5. Okay. Okay. 10 total damage plus 3. Okay, so that hurts. That definitely hurts. So 13. Tobias has... Basically, Tobias takes 5 damage because he had a +8 shield from his School of Abjuration. So he's at 17 hit points. So, okay, so that wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. I had some. Those are some. I had an image in my head of like 24 damage, and him just getting knocked. Actually, even at max damage, he wouldn't have gotten knocked out. So maybe I was a little more scared than I should have. But Tobias does have to make a DC 13 Strength saving throw or be knocked prone. And I'm gonna say because it was a crit, and I think because the wolf basically gets to yank on Tobias's leg, I think Tobias is gonna have to make this check with disadvantage, which really screws him because he already has a -1 strength. But let's see this. It's a 6. That's a 6 minus. That's a 5. So yeah, Tobias not only gets knocked prone in a tree. I think he's gonna fall a little bit at least. So we'll say he falls and smacks onto a branch of the tree that was below him, and takes 6 more damage. Oh man! But the question is he able to catch himself? And I think this is. So he's 10 feet up in the air. He's not that high anymore. But I'm gonna give him a chance to catch himself with acrobatics. Oh man, he does not. So he falls the rest of the way, and takes another d6 damage because I think he was 20. Oh my god, holy shit, that hurts, right? I'm not crazy, right? So I'm pretty sure fall damage in 5e is 6d6 per 10 feet, right? Let's just make sure. Yes, okay. So let's say, yeah, he takes another 5 damage. Oh man. From the direwolf who's leaping through the air and tears him out of the tree, and the direwolf is jumping and stuff, so he ends up way over here because he had to catch some air in order to get Tobias out of the tree. All right, but now it is Tobias's turn. I think actually he has Misty Step, so he's feeling like Tobias is actually more hurt than Morning's Breath is coming out of the last fight. So the question is, should Tobias Misty Step? Does he even have Misty Step prepared? I think that's quite likely. I would say, actually, I think that's somewhat likely. I don't know, because he's got a bunch of spells. I think it's somewhat likely. Somewhat likely it's 50%. He does have it prepared. Okay, so so basically, Tobias is going to Misty Step all the way up to the top of one of these trees. So it's going to be this tree over here. Question is, how tall is the tree? I think it's going to be pretty tall. He looks up and he sees this is like, we're going to say he's 50 feet up. He's way out of range. And does he have a bonus action or anything else he can do? No, not currently. Okay, so now it's Morning's Breath's turn. I think, again, he is going to shoot at the direwolf with his hand crossbow. And in fact, seeing Tobias get ripped down from the tree and crack his head on a couple branches along the way, he's actually going to climb up a little further. The question is, how tall does this tree go? Does it go too much further? I think it's likely that it does. He's only 20 feet up. Trees, especially in an untamed sort of wild area, and he's a cat man. I think it's nearly a sure thing that he can go a little higher, 80%. Or was that the wrong little buddy? There we go, 80%. 24, yeah, so definitely he can go higher. We're gonna say he goes up to 45 feet in the air and takes a shot at the direwolf with his hand crossbow. Here we go. 11 plus 5 plus 7 actually. I assume bards have hand crossbow proficiency. I'm gonna have to look that up if they don't. But And then, yeah, so I'll look that up after this combat. 11 plus 7, yeah, that definitely hits. And he gets a d6. 4 plus 5, that's 9. Alright. So the direwolf is looking in bad shape. He's less than half health at this point. But now it's the direwolf's turn, and we're going to re-roll on the monster reaction table. I think it's... What he does actually is going to depend on what we roll here a little bit, but I think both of these people are in these freaking trees. There's not a whole lot the direwolf can do. So he's got a 20, which is going to be... If there's more than one enemy attacking the player character, they all attack and then move away in different directions. Player character can only choose one on which to make an opportunity attack. Well, of course they... So I don't think that really applies, because there's not more than one enemy. So... If the reaction directly contradicts the tactics or the situation in general, you may choose to ignore it. Okay. So I think the direwolf, essentially, he sees... Tobias stand up and basically use Misty Step. The question is, does he see where Tobias went up in the tree? I think that's a good chance. He's got a +3 perception. Yeah, he definitely is like... The question is, I think the tree that... Because he didn't actually have to climb it, I think the tree that Tobias is in is not particularly robust. I think he's basically at the top of the tree. And the direwolf... Direwolves are kind of smart. Not really, actually. They're in intellect 3. Maybe not. I don't... Because they only have intelligence 3, I'm going to say... I don't know if... I think it's kind of shaky if the direwolf thinks of this. I think it's very unlikely, but what I want the direwolf to do, and I think might be cool, is to, like, take his, like, huge wolf body and just, like, body slam the tree, or, like, try to grab, you know, it's like a 8-inch diameter tree, maybe? 10-inch diameter? He's 50 feet up, so it's got to be a pretty decent sized tree. But the question is, can the direwolf just, like, tackle the tree and shake it or something like that? I think it's unlikely that the direwolf is going to think to do this, because he, like I said, he's only intelligence 3. But that is still a chance, so it's 15%. 73, so no. Direwolf basically is going to see that there's no one around for him to attack. And he's gonna stand there and howl for a second. He's just go, Roo! Maybe he's trying to signal to some other direwolves in the area. And that's going to be its turn. And now it's Tobias's turn. I think Tobias sees that the direwolf is howling really loud. And I think Tobias knows what that... I think Tobias is a smart cookie. He knows that there were other direwolves in the area, because he saw them attack the gnolls in the hunter establishment, or settlement. And I think Tobias is going to use his second spell slot to upcast a magic missile and just try to get rid of this direwolf so they can get out of there. So I think that's going to be 4d4, 44 plus 4. 11, so 15 damage. Yeah, direwolf is still up. He gets has these magical beats of bulbs of energy. I don't know. Just like slam into his thick fur. And now it is Morning's Breath's turn. He's once again gonna try to take out this direwolf with his crossbow. And that's a 4 plus 7, 11. Armor class 14, no. So Morning's Breath attempts to at the... That's not the sound that crossbows make, but whatever. Shoot at the direwolf, and he's maybe balancing on a tree branch and sort of loses his aim for just a moment when he releases. And now I think it's pretty likely the direwolf. is gonna get away. He's not feeling good. He's at least gonna try to slink into the shadows and lick his wounds. So let's see. What are the odds? I think that's very likely. So a 75% chance. Right on the dot. I think meats is yes. I think meats is still a yes. So he's going to slink back into the shadows. The question is, how far away does he have to get in order to get into the shadows? Is he able to get to somewhere that he can hide within this turn? I think that's 50-50. I don't know. 35? 39. So no, he's not. So the direwolf sort of like runs back a little bit, but isn't able to find any sort of bushes or cover well enough. Let's say he gets half cover, so he's gonna have plus some AC. But he's 100. He's searching for places to hide. So I'm gonna say he's about 60 feet away. 60 feet away, which is gonna be more because they're up in the air. But he's still in range for Tobias to take a shot with Firebolt. And a 17 is definitely going to hit. I think that's D10, right? For 6 damage. And that is going to roast the direwolf, who just... Actually, wait, hold on. He gets +2 AC? Or +5 AC? For being behind cover. I get +6 or Tobias gets +6 for Firebolt. That's a 16. Does he get +5? If he gets +5, then that is half cover, 5e. Let's just double check this real quick since we have +2 to AC. So that's 16. So Tobias only barely sends his Firebolt and singes the backside of the direwolf who's trying to escape, and then falls down in a pile of fur and blood. And now we leave initiative. Tobias and Morning's Breath sort of sit up in the trees for a little while, seeing, making sure does the direwolf move? Is it actually faking or something like that? I think about a minute passes and they start to make their way down. And ooh, that's so direwolves are worth it. They're like challenge 1, so they're pretty formidable opponents. So that's going to be some more XP. And then, what do they do with the direwolf's body? Like, are they thinking? What do they think about trying to skin it or something like that? Is it some? Are they? I think they're still trying to escape, and they know that there's at least a chance that other direwolves are on the way. I think it's unlikely. I think Tobias wants to get the hell out of there, and he also isn't really super interested in getting his hands dirty or whatever. But the question is, does Morning's Breath want to do something with the body? I think it's unlikely because he sort of understands that he's in the same situation as Tobias. I think it's very unlikely. So we're talking 15% chance. 46, yeah. Neither of them want to be like doing anything dramatic with the body of this direwolf, but they do want to get the hell out of there. So they're gonna walk up to the direwolf, make sure it's dead, and then head out. And then so that ends this, and I think that's going to be the session for today as well. That combat was a little dramatic, more dramatic. Once I saw that the two of them were up in the tree, and I thought 20 feet that'd be fine, but no, it's like direwolves, they can jump. They can jump too. They're freaking huge beasts. They're large beasts. And yeah, that was a nasty fall that Tobias took. smacking the tree limbs on the way down. Yeah, climbing trees is a lot more dangerous than I thought it would actually be. But yeah, that was fun. And until next time, have a good one.